Hello, Tristan back again. Slightly more with it in this video than the last one. I was pretty messed around with the anaesthetics, so sorry about that last video. But it is week 2, so I'm at the second week, 2 weeks post-operation or 14 days post-operation. And I've just been in to see the surgeon for my 2-week follow-up visit, and all is well. I'm going to show you the dressing has come off now, so you can see quite a sizable scar, and there's still a hell of a lot of bruising around there. The reason the surgeon gave me for so much bruising was, look, because I'm relatively young and active compared to most people who have shoulder replacement surgery. They had to really stretch a lot of the musculature and the muscles around the shoulder, and that obviously causes a lot of bruising. But he was very happy with the progress. Everything's going well. The other activities I talked about in the last video, so they had me doing lots of elbow flexion, bicep flexing, scapular retractions, and neck movements and shoulder retractions. So that's all I did for the first 2 weeks, and then today I'm starting the phase 2 stuff. I'm up to phase 2 with my rehab exercises, so that's still protective phase, but increasing range of motion. So some gentle stretching and some pendulums, unsupported pendulums, have been added into the existing physiotherapy activities. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to be in this sling for another 4 weeks. The reason for that is it prevents you from some of those involuntary motions that you do without thinking. So for example, there's a lot of times where I've been trying to grab a can from a shelf and I've dropped it, and this arm has shot out to try and catch it with a painful sensation. And the advantage of the sling is it stops. It does actually stop it stops you from doing all those involuntary motions from being too wild. So as he explained, like the subscapularis repair, if I was to do a sort of wild movement out like that could stretch the repair enough to sort of rupture it. So the sling is very protective, and that will be there until the 6-week mark. I'll also show you a few other things. This very innocuous looking corner of my unit is where I'm spending pretty much 18 hours a day. So it's a recliner during the day, and it fully reclines at night for me to sleep in. At the moment, if I try and lie down in my normal bed, I can maybe last an hour or two before the pain and discomfort gets too much. So the most comfortable position for sleeping, unfortunately at the moment, is in this recliner. Which isn't ideal, but that's the way it is for the first few weeks. So fortunately, in the first couple of weeks when you can't do very much at all, there's been free-to-air coverage of the cricket, Australia versus Sri Lanka, so that's pretty much what you're seeing now. It's been about half of what I've been getting up to for the last couple of weeks, just sitting here and watching the Test series, which has made life a bit easier. But there really isn't much else you can do. I've been watching a bit of the Six Nations rugby as well from the Northern Hemisphere, mostly from the UK and France, and that's been good because our rugby season hasn't started yet, so something else to keep you interested in when there really isn't much going on at all. But I'm a big sports fan. I love my cricket and rugby, so little things, you got to find little things to keep your spirits up, I guess. And there's something else you're gonna spend a lot of time and a lot of, I recommend you get something like this set up before you go into shoulder surgery, because you literally are looking at the cracks in the ceiling otherwise. So before I had surgery, I bought this little it's from Kmart. It's called an Anko mini exercise bike, and it does the job, to be honest. It's you can't really do a hell of a lot. You can't move this shoulder at all. You're almost supposed to be sedentary for the first 2 weeks. So this little thing just lets me just do a little bit of exercise and keep a little bit of active, which for someone like me was really important. So I think it cost me like $40 or something from Kmart, not much more than that. And yep, in front of the TV set. And yeah, really handy. The other bit of exercise I'll use, which I'll show you now, is I've just hooked this little resistance band to a door, and I'll put my foot in there, and you can see like I can sort of push it backwards like that and do a bit of a leg press, a controlled leg press action. So I can do some sort of a very light lower body workout, which again is not really what I'm after. But you know, it's not ideal for someone who was as active as I was, but it's better than nothing, and it keeps your spirits up a little bit. Quick tour of the kitchen now it's set up. There's my medication in order with the chart that reminds me when to take what, because there's bloody lots of combinations of painkillers and that sort of thing. And then just looking around the kitchen before I went into surgery, I made sure that everything was set up at shoulder height or below. Nothing that I need is too high to reach at. So that was quite deliberate. Yeah, suggest you do the same if you're heading towards something like this. Hey, a quick tour of the freezer. As you know, like with one arm, cooking is pretty challenging. So I took that out of the equation by stocking my freezer with microwavable frozen dinners. And the type I go for are your sort of health, high protein, low carbohydrate, low calorie types. And there's a couple of examples there. You can do your research to see whatever is best. And also make sure I've got a fair bit of high protein, low fat, low sugar yogurt for my breakfast, and I just take one out every night and put it in the other fridge for the morning. So it's all keep the supplies up, and breakfast and dinner I don't need to think too much about. And yeah, these meals aren't too bad. Like, I wouldn't want to be on them for the rest of my life, but for a few weeks, give you enough variety. And I treat myself with Uber Eats every now and then when I get bored. The surgeon advised me you definitely do not drink any alcohol, beer, whiskey, whatever, when you're on high level pain medication. And I promise you that I have not had any, not even a really, really small shot or two whilst watching TV, ever. Yes. Hey, here we are in the bathroom, obviously. And I thought I'd just show you, this is my shower sling. So they give you this when you leave hospital. It's good because in the first couple of weeks, you might feel like you still need a bit of support when you take your sling off to go in the shower. Sometimes it's a little bit tender in those first couple of weeks to just leave your arm hanging down. So this just gives you a bit of support while you're in the shower. And it doesn't matter if it gets wet because you just hang it up to dry afterwards. So yeah, really handy. And good for a whole bunch of things, this actually, like if you're getting changed or if you want to, if you've got other things that you need to do, you just need some support temporarily, and this does the job for getting changed and that sort of thing. So another tip, which is good, handy trick. One last thing I wanted to talk about was pain and pain relief. There's been good and bad news. For starters, the actual amount of severe pain that I was really worried about, that's been far less of a problem than I thought. When I left the hospital, the pharmacist prescribed me some oxycodone, and they said don't take it unless you need it for severe pain, really sharp, severe pain. And I think I've only taken one dose of that oxycodone in the whole time since surgery 2 weeks ago. So that's good. The severe pain just hasn't been, for me anyway, as prominent as I thought it might be. The downside of it all is what has been there quite consistently is that nagging dull pain and nuisance pain. To deal with that, again, the hospital pharmacist prescribed me 3 forms of medication. So some Panamax, paracetamol, which I take 8 doses a day. And then there's tapanadol, and there's also celecoxib. So celecoxib is a really strong anti-inflammatory, according to its description. And the tapanadol is slow release, high strength pain relief. So I take 2 doses of those each day. And as a result, yeah, the severe, really sharp pain that I was really worried about, maybe 2 or 3 episodes over the last 2 weeks. I think from memory, day 5 and day 10, funnily enough, but that's it. And then the problem has been the ongoing nagging discomfort and dull sort of nagging pain is probably the best way I can say it. And the pain relief that I've just talked about that I'm taking regular doses for, that's taking the edge off it, but it's not eliminating it. So good and bad, certainly nothing majorly drastic or severe, but yeah, frustrating, annoying, and you do look forward to when it all goes away, and it's only going to be time, unfortunately, that's going to get rid of the pain long term. The research I've looked into says about 4 weeks, most people notice that it's very consistent departure from strong pain. And again, I guess it's different for everyone. I've heard of people who basically have 0 pain at all, and I've heard of some poor people who are sort of in their sling for 2 to 3 months because of the pain. So yeah, reasonably lucky, but yeah, would be very, very pleased when it's not a daily issue that I'm having to manage.